are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, welcome back to the College League Podcast. I'm Dylan, able to take on Twitter. Here's all this Auburn athletics news, and it is very orange in here. There we go. So, of course, what we're going to do today is talk about the Iron Bowl and recap it as we typically do on Sunday. But, of course, everyone knows what the meat and potatoes of today's episode is going to be about. It's going to be about Auburn's new head coach, Alex Golesh, coming out of USF. So we're going to start off the show by talking about the Iron Bowl, and then we're going to kind of just spend the bulk of the time centered around Alex Golesh and what this means for Auburn going forward. Back in track to the Iron Bowl here. Dude, it is another heartbreaking loss. Auburn finds another way to lose. DJ Durkin, he had a great scheme defensively for this game. I think Auburn did everything they could have possibly done to win last night. But the offense, it left a lot to be desired. There was a lot of drives early in the game where it just looked like Auburn was not going to get any points, really, at most of the time. Turnovers galore. One drive for Auburn just absolutely it sucked, dude. It was, 3 fumbles and ended with an interception. Auburn just got in their own heads early and got out of it late, but I think it was too late for Auburn to get the win there. But regardless, saw a lot of great things out of the defense. Durkin schemed up something real nice for this one. And, I hate it for Cam Coleman, dude. If there's one player on this team you will not hear me bash in the slightest, it is Cam Coleman. He had a good game, man. And, again, it was just tough. It was heartbreaking. I understand he was inconsolable. I would be inconsolable, too, if I was there. But, man, I refuse to ever throw any hate towards Cam Coleman. It just bad mistake on his part. But again, there's a whole lot of other wide receivers you can look at for this game. I think Eric Singleton dropped a lot of passes. Omar Mabson had a drop that turned to an interception. There were a lot of drops in this game. Stat broadcast only says there were 5. I don't believe that for a second. I counted at least 10. Last night, and you can't have that if you're looking to upset a team like Alabama, knocking them out of SEC championship, knocking them out of the playoffs. But sadly, that did not happen. But it's just another loss that, we've talked about a game like this. How many losses we got now? 5 other times this season, where Auburn was just incapable of doing the thing they wanted to go out there and do, which was score. Auburn gets held to 20 points in this one, losing by 7 points. Alabama goes on a game-winning drive, helped out by some iffy calls, if you ask me. But again, the SEC officiating's been bad all year towards Auburn, but it's hard for me to look at that and put the majority of the blame on it. Auburn just flat out lost the game themselves. And as we kind of look forward, I think Auburn is hopefully going towards a brighter future. I like the hire a lot, and I'll kind of just get through my little synopsis of the Iron Bowl. Again, this one hurt more than a lot of other games did because I got a lot of hate for it because I'm an Auburn fan. Picking Auburn to win the Iron Bowl, I must be crazy. I actually thought it was full belief, think with my heart and with my brain there, Auburn was going to win the Iron Bowl last night. Sadly, unable to get it done. But just kind of go with my grades here. Offense, give you a C+. Just didn't do enough late in the game, early in the game. You actively were playing yourself out of winning the game. So C+, you played half a good game or 3/4 of a good game, but the first quarter you put yourself in a hole that you were not able to crawl out of fully. Defense, get A+. I think they had a great scheme. Held Ty Simpson to 122 yards, held them to 122 rushing yards. There were some big gains that they had, but overall, not 102 rushing yards, 158 rushing yards. And can't ask for much more than that. Just didn't force any turnovers. That's probably about it. Special teams, get an A. You went out there and got some field goals, which is nice. I always love watching Alex McPherson go out there and get some field goals. Definitely felt early in the game Auburn was going to be kicking a lot of those, but only kicked 2. Head coaching grade can give Dirk an A. Defensively, looked great. And that's what he's all about. Offensive player of the week, going to give it to Malcolm Simmons. 3 catches, 143 yards and a touchdown. Great game for him in this one. And defensive player of the week given to Caleb Harris, led the team in tackles. Had a sack and a TFL as well. Could have given it to Sylvester Smith. He had a couple of pass deflections. But overall, I mean, defensively, this team looked good. This team looked really, really good defensively. Now, we're going to pivot now to what everyone knows is going on right now. Alex Golesh from USF has been hired as the head coach for the Auburn Tigers. As a head coach, which has only been 3 years, he is 23-15, but it was at USF. And if you don't know this, in 2022, the year before they hired Golesh out of Tennessee, they went 1-11, and then the very next year they went 7-6. So that's a big time improvement, especially for a team in the American. And again, the next year they also went 7-6, but this past year 9-3 with wins over Florida and a ranked and highly talented Boise State team going into this year. And he's got plenty of experience all over the place. I mean, he was a coach in high school in 2003, then 2004 to 2005. He was a student assistant at Ohio State, graduate assistant in 2006 to 2007 from Northern Illinois and Oklahoma State in 2008. Got his first real job in 2009 at Toledo, running backs coach, and got a promotion to 10 and 11 as a Toledo tight ends coach and recruiting coordinator as well. So recruiting is all over his resume. Got promoted, also got the running back job as well as a tight ends and recruiting coordinator. 2015, dropped those, tight end special teams coach. 2016, 2019, when it was under Matt Campbell, tight ends and recruiting coordinator. UCF, that's when he ran to Heupel for the first time, co-OC, as well as tight ends coach. And then 2021 to 2022, offensive coordinator at Tennessee before he got the job at South Florida, now at Auburn. And, of course, as we all know, I'm sure everyone's following along with what was going on. It was a crazy week just because we went into this week of Summerall being Auburn's number 1 pick. And out of nowhere, in walks Florida, that I'm sure they just offered more money than Auburn was willing to give for him. Florida got him now. So Auburn pivoted, got Alex Golesh, and I'm actually proud to say I've been on the Alex Golesh train for quite some time. I mean, I've said on several occasions that I want Alex Golesh. I just kind of pivoted whenever I heard John Summerall is going to be the big name guy, which again, I think Summerall's a greght coach. I think Florida did make a great hire. I just know that they're probably haunted by the Sunbelt Billy shadow looming over them. Of course, this is not the wildest hire that's happened out of the SEC. Even today, LSU picks up Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss, just absolutely ridiculous for them to hire Pete Golding as their permanent head coach. But again, I think Alex Golesh is a great pick. He brings a lot of tenacity to the team. And again, I'm not seeing anywhere official where they've said that he'll be. I've heard people saying that he'll retain the defensive staff. Not heard anything official on it yet, but I do know that based off how Durkin's talking about just Auburn in general, it does seem like he wants to be in here for the long haul. Golesh, as an offensive guy, a lot easier to convince him, like, hey, this defense was really good last year or this past year, so we want to keep these guys around if you're okay with that. Offensive staff, you can go ahead and drop everybody on over there. I know a lot of people were very adamant about keeping Derek Nix. I like Derek Nix a lot, but I just don't see him as a full-time play caller. And again, it's probably not at Auburn in my in my regards. I like Derek a lot. But again, Ken Austin, if you have a history with Hugh Freeze pre-Auburn, go on and get off the staff. Marcus Davis, I think, is really the only offensive position coach that I wouldn't I'd be upset about losing. But again, with USF now, Cody Burns was currently at USF, so I expect him to possibly come along as well. And there's been a couple of other hires that he's made from USF as well. I think a recruiting coordinator is being brought over. And that's one thing about Alex Golesh, man. He is a tenacious recruiter. He had a couple of 4-stars in this class. One of them has already decommitted, and also got both guys from the state of Alabama as well. And he had 2 guys decommit, a tight end, which bring all the tight ends that you can bring with you, man. So DeMarcus Broughton Jr. Out of I don't even know where this is, but he went to Mary G. Montgomery High School or Academy, not even sure what that is. Simi's, Alabama. And I've never been there, so I'm not even sure if I'm saying that, but Seams, Alabama, as well as Josiah Dozier from Moody, Alabama, a 3-star wide receiver have both decommitted from USF. So again, this is a class that's number 59 in the country. So I expect him to kind of go after those guys a lot, especially if they're guys that, from the state of Alabama, just from the South, and just want to play for Auburn. Auburn has not lost any commits as of yet for the new coaching hire. I know Jace Matthews has been commenting on it a lot. Just kind of liking how he's talking. The Tootle family, I love them to death, man. They're all over the hiring. I think the only one that's been on the fence about everything is Braylon Womack. I don't think he's really said anything as of, at least since I've been looking around. But it seems like most of this class is really big on just coming to Auburn and playing for the Tigers, which you love to see. I think it's been a while since I've looked at a class and okay, this class wants to play for Auburn, not just for a coach. Which again, that's absolutely big time. Auburn's only lost one recruit since the firing of Hugh Freeze, so that's again big time. And Alex Golesh, again, he has a history of recruiting, so having more resources at Auburn than he did at USF, that plays into a lot of this as well. I think, and again, what I've been seeing, I love USF to death. I mean, they're a school that I always find myself rooting for just because they were a very good team last year, or the past 2 years, in my opinion, very tough, tenacious team, but it's hard to root against them. And I mean, their fan base, they're not ticked off that Golesh left. There's probably a couple of them that I haven't seen, but a lot of them are very appreciative of the program that he's built up. And this is a team that's 3 years out from going 1-11, and he immediately turned them into a bowl game team. He's the first coach in USF history who has won back-to-back bowl games in his first 2 years. And again, that's big time, and absolutely love it. I love that he didn't leave on a bad terms like I think a lot of other coaches did. But I mean, this is a great hire for Auburn, and it's a mentality shift too. He is a guy who is going to speak his mind. I don't know if you've seen, there's a lot of clips of him in interviews and even in a handshake. I remember I think it was last year. I've been seeing this everywhere. It was whenever he went to go shake Tom Herman's hand when he beat FAU. And I think he was kicking onside kicks while he was losing by a lot. Tom Herman was, and he went over there and just gave him and walked away. Didn't even give him a full handshake. So I absolutely love the mentality that brings that. I love those guys who are, they're offensive coaches, but they have a defensive mindset. They're a very aggressive play caller. And again, I'm not sure if he was the full play caller at USF. That's one thing I didn't see. But I think that it's a great shift for Auburn. And I think it's going to bounce off very well, especially if Auburn can get him to maintain DJ Durkin. I've been seeing a lot of people saying that he is. I just don't think anyone's officially said it. But if Auburn can retain a majority of this roster, and I understand people have been talking about this roster, and it's why would you retain a roster that can't win? Dude, there's so much talent on this roster. The wide receiver room is still extremely talented. Cam Coleman is going to be an all-time receiver. We're going to be talking about him the same way we talk about Terry Beasley and a lot of guys that we've seen as of late. I mean, I think Cam Coleman has already surpassed a lot of Auburn wide receivers strictly off of how talented he is. I mean, we're going to be retiring number 8 soon. We're also going to be retiring number 17 for Xavier Atkins. There's so much talent on this roster, dude. Auburn is a top, I think, a 30 defense. And if the offense was just in the top 70, we're talking about a team that's 8-4 or 9-3 or even 10-2. And that's all they had to do is just score more than, 24 points? If Auburn averaged 24 points a game, they would have, besides the games they scored more than that, but if they had averaged 24 points a game, they would have won. They would have flipped at least 3 of all of the losses, I'm pretty sure, outside of the Vanderbilt game. But I think that this is the hire Auburn needed to make, especially since your number 1 guy went off somewhere else. I think Golesh is not a bad pivot point. I don't think Golesh is, oh man, we didn't get the number 1 guy, so I guess we'll go for this. No, Alex Golesh has proven to be a program builder. He is a guy who knows how to develop quarterbacks. He has 3 current quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And I understand people don't really like the look of it because one of them is Brock Purdy, who is an NFL starter, by the way. But the other ones are Hendon Hooker, who was a great college quarterback. He's just a lot of injuries, but he's a good backup. And of course, blanking on the other one right now. I have to go look at. I had some buddies that were making fun of it, but I don't think it's a bad way to look at it. I mean, we talk about Hugh Freeze mentioning that he's a quarterback guru, but only has one quarterback in the NFL currently. It was Joe Milton. Joe Milton was the guy. So I think people are a little seeing too much and talking too much about it and looking at the name value instead of looking at these guys were drafted. These guys were drafted to the NFL. And that should be enough to develop a guy at college to get him drafted in the NFL. There are 264 draft picks and was able to get 3 guys drafted in those. Don't even start on Byron Brown at USF, dude. He is absolutely electric. And I'll be interested to see exactly what his plan is going forward, because I imagine there are a lot of schools that are going to want Byron Brown. And honestly would not surprise me if Auburn gets in the mix with that as well, which I don't know what that means for Ashton Daniels going forward. There's a lot of guys that I expect to hit the portal soon, but we'll see that when it happens. I also expect more from Alex Golesh. I think he's already spoken with the team. He's already speaking to recruits, which is big time. Just making sure, hey, this is what I see going forward. And just kind of maintain that recruiting class. I mean, Auburn currently stands at number 40, and I imagine if you flip some of them USF guys over that want to play for you, I think that'll bring you up quite a little bit. Signing day is only a couple of days away, so it's big time for Auburn going forward to start to get these guys committed fully. That way we don't get any flips last minute. But man, there's been a lot of people that I've seen that are against it just because, he's an American conference coach who's only been coaching for 3 years as a head coach, not really proven anything. But if you just look at the paper and look at the tape, this team fights for everything. They are fighting to win. They are not the most talented team in the country. They're not the most talented team in their conference, but they are giving people crap every single game. They are fighting their tails off, getting to where they want to be. And again, they missed the conference championship, but again, this is a team that stole the America's heart in the first 3 weeks just by beating Florida. Again, I just think this is a big time hire. And again, USF, I pull up the stats. They rank number 2 nationally in total offense, number 5 in scoring, and have posted 500 plus yards in 8 of their last 9 regular season games. Recorded the top 2 passing seasons of program history with Golesh, while quarterback Byron Brown became the 12th 3,000-yard passer and 1,000-yard rusher in FBS history this year. The Bulls currently rank 25 in the top 25 of 20 statistical categories, including 11 offensive, as well as 7 defensive and 2 special team statistics. But again, looking at the number 11 in offensive stats. Again, this is a big time hire for Auburn. It might not seem splashy because it's a G5 guy. I mean, Auburn's hired, their last 2 coaches have been, really last 4 coaches have been G5 hires. And, I understand there's been a lot of people that probably they wanted a defensive minded coach, but I think that it was a little overzealous of Auburn to expect a defensive coach to be okay with the school picking his defensive staff. And I understand why, to a certain extent, I don't want to say a certain extent, to a pretty big extent there. But you can't be mad at the hire. I don't know of anyone who has really said they hate the hire like terribly bad. I know some people that have been a little pessimistic about the hire, but I don't think there's anyone that's going to be giving up their tickets because of it. I think that on paper you can see that Golesh has the right mindset for an SEC head coach, and Auburn's the first one to give him the opportunity. I mean, Arkansas wanted Alex Golesh, and they had to pivot. They had to go to the Memphis coach, which again, I don't think it's a bad hire for them either. I don't think any SEC team outside of Ole Miss has made a bad head coaching hire, unless you count Kentucky keeping Mark Stoops another season after getting his butt kicked by Louisville. But again, the SEC, it just breeds good coaching staffs. And again, I think if anything, you can just hang your hat on the fact that this is a massive improvement over Hugh Freeze. I mean, a guy who statistically hasn't shown the regression that normal head coaches show. I mean, if anything, it's improvements over 3 seasons that we've seen. I mean, just going from 7-6 to 9-3 in a season in just 3 seasons really is big time. After that team was in the bottom of the barrel in FBS. This to me, I know a lot of people have been grading it. I think it's been around the B+ range. I think it's around that. I think it's around A, in my opinion. I love the hire, dude. I think a lot of it is the fact that I have been so adamant about this hire being my favorite. Because I mean, every time I get stopped and someone asks me like, "Hey, if you're John Cohen, who are you hiring?" I've always said Alex Golesh. And I understand the people that want it. There was a lot of people who were a little on the fence about Durkin getting the head coaching job. And if all went wrong for Auburn, I don't see Durkin being a horrifically bad option. And I understand, I think this game was the best game in terms of, a balanced attack in terms of him being the defensive coordinator as well as being a head coach. We did not see that out of the Vanderbilt game. But I think we saw a glimpse of what this defense can really be if he was the head coach. Just getting more time to really acclimate to that. But yeah, I like this hire a lot, and I think Auburn is going to be a lot better for it. Recruiting class wise, I mean, again, National Sign Day. I'm trying to remember exactly what day. I think it's on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. If I can get a date for it. February 4th, absolutely not. What in the world? December 3rd. Yeah, December 3rd. That's Wednesday exactly. I don't expect Auburn to have a big drop off like they would have if it had been someone else. I think just having these players listen to Golesh and dude, even like looking at the highlights of him talking to the media. I mean, he's a guy you'd want to play for. He is a guy who has the mentality of a coach who players will die on the field for. And again, I love that about him. Just showing the love to his players and to see the fans loving him just as much and being appreciative of the time that he had there. Yeah, big time hire. I'm going to go through some of y'all's comments, see what y'all are thinking about the hiring of Alex Golesh. And we'll kind of wrap things up a little bit. Teresa Dillon, War Eagle to you as well, Teresa. Staff members and GM have to be moved to permanent Auburn staff and not under head coach, so Auburn can keep power here. The AD has to step in now and protect Auburn's investments. Okay. I mean, yeah, I think that. I guess, yeah, I agree. So with all the AAC coaches getting snapped up, can UTSA go for a run at the AAC championships? And if they do, how long before Traylor is snatched up? I mean, the AAC has been a good pipeline to the SEC. So, I mean, Jeff Traylor could be a head coach as of next year. I think if Kentucky was smart, which they're not, fire Stoops, go get Jeff Traylor. I think that'd be a great hire for them. Mark Stoops has been bad the past few years. Meet Teresa as well. Dylan, there seems to be a lot more to the story than money, and depends on who you listen to. Sounds like actual contracts are almost identical. Golesh is a little more incentive over base. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot about. I mean, a lot of it to me, it sounded like a lot of people were talking about. Summerall actually wasn't as complicit with keeping the defensive staff as anyone else was, so that could have been it as well. It seemed you can't spell Auburn without drama, it feels like, in some way, shape, or form. Cody Burns coming back. He is. Can Cody and Marcus coexist as wide receiver guys? And then I think Cody would probably be the assistant to the head coach, OC, and Marcus might retain at wide receiver. But I would definitely be shocked if Cody is co-offensive coordinator and wide receiver coach. Yeah, I would love to see Marcus Davis retained. I think that a lot of these wide receivers really love Marcus Davis. And a lot of these guys committed to Auburn because of Marcus Davis. And again, the only guy who I would be like head over heels and would be okay with him just taking someone, I don't want to say it like that, but I mean, Damian Craig, man, I would love to get him back on Auburn staff as soon as possible. Man, I hate that it feels like he might not ever come back to Auburn. Because I mean, where's he? He's at Texas A&M, I believe. Georgia State. He was Georgia State last year or this year. Dang, I was wrong. Sorry. But I mean, a lot of players love playing with Damian Craig, and again, I see why. Again, he was the guy that would have brought Cam Coleman to Texas A&M had Auburn not stepped in, or I guess unless Jimbo Fisher didn't get fired. But yeah, I love Marcus Davis. I think he's a great wide receivers coach. Wide receivers were not the bad part of this team this year. Just that's the game last night. And just a great recruiter overall. But yeah, I do love that Cody Burns is back. I love that to death. And again, I think he adds a lot recruiting as well. I mean, I understand that some people don't really like that Auburn picks up so many former Auburn guys. Just because, again, I look back at the Cadillac era, and a lot of people want Cadillac as a head coach. I understood why, but had Cadillac not worked out, it would have been so difficult to fire him if it didn't work out after that first year. Again, I love Cadillac to death, man. I just don't think it would have panned out very well for Auburn if they had to make the shift away from Cadillac after making him the head coach. But there are a lot of guys who, if they keep proving themselves, I would never say no to them being back to being on Auburn staff. I mean, in a few years, Deshaun Davis, he's working his way up the ranks. So I'd love to see him back in Auburn gear at some point. I will say, I don't know if there's any Auburn tight end coaches out there, but I would love to have anyone else coaching tight ends next season. I mean, this offensive staff, again, outside of Marcus Davis, this offensive staff has been awful this season. Derek Nix, again, another outlier. I think he's kind of fixed things with Auburn's offense. Just again, last night, huge outlier for that. But again, Ben Algamawa, tight ends regressed so badly since Valdo left. There was no one that could pick up the slack that was left whenever he went to the NFL. Jake Thornton, the O-line, has gotten more talented, but has not played to any level of the talent that they possess every single season. I mean, there's 30 sacks on the year already as the season ends. It just sucks, man. Ken Austin has not developed a single quarterback since he's been here. Peyton Thorne still was making rookie mistakes. Jackson Arnold was just sitting in the pocket for hours and hours and hours on end. Yeah, this offensive staff can go to their next stop. But yeah, Marcus Davis is really the only guy where I'm like, yeah, you need to keep him on staff. I just heard the day on Auburn Sports with Hoke and JG Tate and BMAT that Trooper Taylor worked with Golesh before they think he would come back too. Dude, if there's back before I knew as much as I did about Auburn staff, just Auburn in general, Trooper Taylor was always one of my favorite guys to like notice on TV with his backwards hat or brimless hat, whatever it was. I would love that. I would love to see Trooper Taylor back in Auburn, and my dad would love to see Trooper Taylor back as well. I love him to death. His energy on the sideline, always shaking the towel. It'd be big time, dude. You could not talk me out of Auburn winning the national championship next year if Trooper Taylor returns back to an Auburn sideline. So that'd be awesome. The Brad Law fan would love to actually have one of our guys as head coach eventually. That'd be interesting. Who would you want as a head coach eventually? Like which guy is in your mind? Because right now I can't think of a guy right now that I can really say should be the next head coach for Auburn, and especially the Auburn guys. I mean, I think the closest one you got right now, I mean, Deshaun Davis is a linebackers coach. Is there any coordinators that I'm thinking of that I'm missing? I know Trevon Reed's a cornerbacks coach. Yeah, no, just in the future, no one really ready. I understand that. I was just trying to see who's the closest to getting a head coaching job. Is my thought process. That's what I want to see. Is just who would be the closest. Because I know Carry On is at Eastern Tennessee State as a running backs coach. Sammy coach came to my mind, but I think he's a cop right now or a high school football coach. I cannot put two and two together on which former Auburn player is currently like any coordinator. I can't think of a single coordinator that's a former Auburn player, and I feel like I would know. T. Will, there you go. That's who I'm trying to put together. T. Will would absolutely be the closest one. But yeah, 9-time champion says True Potato will be huge. Absolutely a great. I wouldn't want the whole staff to be Auburn guys. Just because I feel like that'd be it'd be probably great for recruiting to Auburn in general, but again, just when one guy messes up, I know Auburn fans a little too well, and it would kind of ruin the immersion of them being Auburn players if some aspect of the team did not go well. Clay Helton, former Southern Cal coach, now Georgia Southern coach, briefly played at Auburn. Yeah, I mean, I guess he would be the closest because he has been a head coach. But define briefly played at Auburn. Did he play there for a year or did he play at all? I didn't even know that, really. Like the playing career. Oh, so he played for 2 years. He was a quarterback. I did not know that. Transferred to Houston after his father was hired as head coach. Back at quarterback at Auburn and Houston, and graduated in 1994 with a degree in mathematics. Nice. Did he really play it? Did he play it all at Auburn? I would love to know the stats on that because I see stats right here, but I don't know if that's just over his career. Oh, at Houston. So he only played at Houston. 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Yeah, that's one guy. I guess guys who fully played at Auburn. So like a Trevon Reed kind of guy or a T. Will or one of those guys. One dude I would love to see as a coach one day, but I think it's too late for him to be a coach anywhere. Takeo Spikes. I know he's a big time SEC network now. I think Takeo would be a great like a linebackers coach or I want Takeo back on an Auburn sideline. I love his energy, man. He's one of those people that I just love to death. Tubbs Tiger, Marcus Davis has got to go or has to go. I'd be interested to see why you think or why you would want that or just what you think about that. Because again, Marcus Davis to me, I think is a bright spot on what has been a very bad offensive staff overall. Again, those receivers all committed to be coached under Marcus Davis. I think he has really kind of proven himself. And if Auburn lets him go, he's going to be snatched up by the next biggest school that needs a wide receivers coach. And I don't know how many of these guys are going to leave to go play for Marcus Davis. Because Auburn's got Jace Matthews currently coming in from the 26th class. I think he's the only receiver Auburn's got this far. Correct. Yeah. Only wide receiver Auburn's got in this class as far as Jace Matthews, who's a 5-star. Would not want to see Marcus Davis go. And again, I like the comment I saw earlier where I would love to see him and Cody Burns together. I think he would form a tandem of wide receiver coaches and again, if he's like a co-OC as well in that regard, like a passing game coordinator and just kind of let them go in with each other. I think you would recruit every single wide receiver target out of Alabama, which would be big time, especially getting a guy like Sadarian Morgan to flip to Auburn before he signs with Alabama. Is Rodney Garner coming back? I've heard those rumors. I've not heard Rodney Garner. I don't even know where he's at now. I remember he was at Auburn a few years back. But I don't know where is he currently at Tennessee? He is at Tennessee. So yeah, I've not heard anything about that. Would love to see Pat Nix do better and move up. I think Pat Nix is having a great time at Central Phoenix City. It'd be very hard to pull him away from that school because that school is giving him everything. why do Auburn fans want new coaches to obtain coaches from a losing culture? I can see where that comes from. And again, losing culture is really started by the head coaches. And I think the losing culture was bred by Hugh Freeze. The team showed a lot more of a spark after the fact. And again, there were a lot of the coaches that built this talented roster together. I contribute that to a lot of different guys. The defensive staff, I mean, Auburn had a championship defense. You can't be mad about Auburn wanting to retain the defense that was like third or fourth in the SEC. Again, if Auburn had just had a top 70 offense, they would have been possibly in the playoff conversation. Again, it is a team that would have been fighting for an SEC championship spot late in the season if their offense had just scored 24 points a game. And I understand the losing culture aspect of it. Again, Auburn has not had a winning record since COVID, I think, or because I believe Auburn went 6-4 that year. Or was it first year of Harsin? I gotta look back and see. No, it was COVID, 6-5 record. Yeah, Auburn's not had a winning record since then. And again, Auburn's had a losing culture in general, but they've had losing coaches. I think that this team just found a lot of ways to lose, and I just saw a comment about that. Sorry, I'll take your analysis. There are so many games where Auburn just found a different way to lose every single week. They just found ways to blow games. They found ways to, not score when they needed to score the most. So I understand that where you're coming from when it comes to that aspect of it. But again, I just desperately think that there are some coaches that are better for Auburn moving forward than just to let them go. Again, Marcus Davis is in that whole defensive staff, man. I would love to have them guys back. The only one I was like iffy about, I think the safety position regressed a lot going into the season. That'd be the only one I'm really like iffy about retaining. I think Auburn can do better safety wise. But every other position, I mean, Auburn did a very good job when it came to shutting down some high-profile offenses. The only one they didn't do a good job of was Vanderbilt. And that was just because they have a gimmicky offense and they immediately shifted in another gear against Auburn and just let it fly. And that's not something they've done all season long. But again, I love this. I love the defensive staff a lot. And I love Marcus Davis. I think Marcus Davis is better for Auburn just by being retained. But again, it's all up to him. I think the defensive staff is like, I take the job, keep the defensive staff, and you do whatever with the offense. So we'll probably see. I think that we'll probably get a lot more information going into tomorrow. I imagine we'll have an introductory press conference tomorrow, probably around the same time we usually have press conferences, just because the season's over. Might be but you have to have one, and you have to, get ready for signing day. And it's going to be crazy. Again, I've not seen anything where I've been worried about any guys decommitting. I know everyone's recruiting everybody. At this point, you're doing any last-ditch efforts to flip guys over. You're signing last-minute NIL checks. You're tampering with transfer portal players, which DJ Durkin said that teams were doing that to Auburn already. It's a busy time. No matter if you're competing for a conference title or getting ready to be in a playoff game in a couple of weeks, this week is going to be crazy. So, of course, don't forget to stay tuned to the College Loop on all social media platforms to keep up with all the news going around there. Signing day is always a fun day. Just kind of mass-producing graphics early. But it's a fun time. Again, I expect it to be I don't expect it to be bad. I think it's going. I don't think we're going to lose anyone that from if I'm taking their word at value here. All these guys have been talking about how much they love what Golesh is talking about. And, you have guys like Shadarius Tootle who loves Auburn for Auburn, man. His whole team, his whole family loves Auburn. His dad, Shadrick, man, I saw a picture of him and I talked to my fiance about it. And I was like, hey, can I wear this to our wedding? And it was him in an Auburn polo with an Auburn sports coat over it and then an Auburn chain and an Auburn hat on. And she was not for it, but maybe for the reception. We'll see. But I don't expect the recruiting class to be hit too bad. Let me see. Our D-line coach was an interim. Guys, Golesh needs to be able to clean house if he wants. I see that's where I agree with that. That's from Doug Dozier. Jeremiah Patterson, I'm so happy about this hire. I agree. Our D-line coach was an interim due to so far out of his league. Golesh seems to want to replace guys with more G5 guys. We want Bama wide receiver coach getting a head coach job at Oregon State. I agree. Our O-line, our D-line coach? You talking about Vontrell? Vontrell had himself a year this season. Our D-line was really good. Gerald Patterson, Golesh will take us to the promised land. I love the confidence. Love the confidence. Charles Kelly's most important hire you can make. I think he is fine at Jacksonville State. Again, I think he's doing a great job over there winning games. If Champ hadn't gotten hurt 2 times, the safety position would have been better. I agree. But I think Champ Anthony was playing a lot more of the star role, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I completely agree. I think as good as Jacquez Robinson was at sometimes, I think for the majority of the time, when it comes to coverage, he wasn't there coverage-wise, which he should not have been called out for targeting last night. That was a stupid, stupid call. Wardan Martin, like and sub, completely agree with this. This is the best comment of the evening. Press conference tomorrow is at 12 p.m. Is that 12 p.m. Central? So, yeah, 12 or 1 Eastern. So, yeah, everyone's going to be tuned into that. Auburn needs to have like a home run press conference. So, I hope everyone is writing down their questions early and kind of just making sure that they hit right going forward. We could possibly be able to go to a bowl game as the best 5-7 team. We'd have to see. Because I think Missouri State can kind of talk to the NCAA or talk to ESPN or NCAA or whoever does the bowl game committee, and they can actually get themselves into a bowl game because they finished 6-6, without really. Since they moved up this past year, so they have to wait 2 seasons to go to a bowl game, which is absolutely stupid. Like, imagine if they went like 10-2 or 12-0 and they won their conference, and they were like, okay, well, I guess if you can't go to the playoffs because you can't go to, you're a bowl band until you get there. Absolutely stupid. So that's such a dumb rule. Hopefully, I think Kennesaw State gets to go to one. At least I hope so. Because they had a phenomenal season as well. Glad we dodged the Summerall bullet. I think Summerall wouldn't have been a bad hire for Auburn to have made either. Guys, if Cam Coleman wants $2 million, let him walk and get other dudes. I don't know about that. Cam Coleman is not a guy you let walk. He is not a guy you let walk. Vontrell King Williams was promoted without any questions. He didn't deserve that job. Our D-line sucked all year, including last night. Really thin going into this next year, and no recruits in line. Keldrick, 2nd round. I don't know about that. Our defensive line has been one of the bright spots of our team. Kieron Crawford had a great season. Our interior defensive line was filling up gaps. Our run defense is phenomenal. And Keldrick, I don't understand the whole Keldrick had a bad season thing. Keldrick had a great year. He just didn't have the stats. That's it. And if you get caught looking at the box score for games, you're going to let a very talented D-line fall to a contender in the 2nd round, and that'd be the stupidest thing any NFL team that needs a defensive lineman would do. Keldrick got pressure, and Keldrick helped other guys get sacks. That is exactly what Keldrick Falk does. That's how talented he is, and his brother could be just as good. But again, Auburn's got some D-line guys coming in. They have an edge rusher. They have a line. They have Shadir. If I can blank on his name, Auburn's got some guys coming in. I mean, Jacquez Wilkes, dude, is big time for Auburn. I don't think he's really an edge rusher. He's a linebacker, but he's big enough to play edge. And Auburn's going to attack the portal. They always do. I expect Golesh to do that same to just kind of hopefully get the weak spots filled out, which is just kind of figuring out how to get an offensive line to block for the quarterback. But yeah, Von Trell is a is a great D-line coach, and he has looked the part. I understand what you were coming. If you said that like last year or not last year, whenever he first got it, I can understand where you're coming from. And Auburn kind of panicked because their D-line coach left. But he has done nothing but impress since he's gotten the job. I think he's one of our most valuable pieces as a position coach. Brian, again, I dislike the target call. It was so bogus. Absolutely agree. But yeah, National Signing Day is going to be a fun day. I expect Auburn to kind of shoot up the rankings a little bit. I mean, they currently sit at 40, which is not where I would like to be. If you ask me, I would like Auburn to be around the top 10 range, if not higher. But so happens whenever your recruits want results. And it's going to be up to Alex Golesh to spend these next 3 days really balling out with these recruits and getting any last minute guys that you think want to flipping all the guys you want currently over there at committed to USF or have already decommitted from them. I mean, Josiah Dozier, I haven't done any film on him, but I would not be mad at getting more wide receivers. He's 6'2", 190. And then again, DeMarcus Broughton getting a 6'5" tight end, especially in state, would be big time as well. I mean, I think these guys might already have offers from Auburn. I know DeMarcus does, but I don't think this one does. Yeah, Dozier does not. But we'll definitely see. Those are the only 2 in-state guys that I think USF has. Until I scroll later on, the Trail Sellers. There's a couple of guys from Auburn, from Alabama. Alabaster, you got Peter Rammel coming out of Thompson, which never gonna be upset about getting guys out of Thompson. I think he's the only one left on their recruiting out of their commits that are in the state of Alabama. But I think that Auburn made the right hire, and I'm going to say that because I'm going to be a little proud of myself because I've been saying Alex Golesh all along. You can go back to any old show where I talked about coaches. Alex Golesh was always on my mind. And his energy and the tenacity that he coaches with, it's a great hire. If you ask me, it's a great hire. Again, I'm putting it in the A category. I think that Auburn will be back to where Auburn wants to be very soon under Alex Golesh. I think recruiting isn't going to skip a beat. And if he builds the right offensive staff, I expect to see results soon. I'm not going to give a timetable, but I think that if he hits a home run with his staff offensively and, again, defensively, I understand the defensive staff conversation that I saw earlier, kind of not keeping a losing mentality team here, but the defense showed resolve, and the defense showed that they want to win football games, and they fought their tail off to keep Auburn in every single game this season. There is you cannot point to one game this year where Auburn could not have won it at any point in those games. And the defense did wonders. Again, the only game where the defense let us down was Vanderbilt. That was it. That's that is 1 out of 12. What's that grade? You got 11 games right and you only missed one? 92%. 92% of the time your defense was on fire. So can't be mad about him trying to retain this defensive staff and being offered the chance to retain them. That means you're going even harder in the paint to get your offensive staff to meet the requirements and the expectations that defensive staff has built going forward. Jeremy, we need to keep 8, 4, and 17 and 9. So that's Cam, unless you mean Caleb Harris, but that's Cam, Malcolm, Xavier, and Deuce. And again, I think there's a lot of people on this offense where I feel like they're like package deals. I've heard a lot about that. There's some guys where it's like, if you need to watch the tape, Golesh, there's some guys you need to tell to go and get them out of here. Again, there's a lot of positions of need for Auburn's offense. Tight end and O-line are going to be the 2 big ones. I think quarterback, if you want to go Byron Brown, and if you want to go Byron Brown, I can understand that. But again, I think Ashton Daniels is not he showed a lot of greatness this season. He played a lot of hero ball last night. He started off slow, which was that I think will put Auburn down in a hole early, but I think he had a great game. He was the leading rusher for Auburn, had 100 yards. But again, I wish him luck, but I would love to see Ashton Daniels back in the orange and blue. Love Deuce Knight too. Would love to have him as the quarterback too. But Byron Brown, dude, he's going to make wherever he goes very happy. And again, we won't hear any complaints out of me if he wants to join Golesh going forward. I would just really love to see Ashton Daniels have a great next year. Again, hopefully for Auburn. But we'll see more as we go along. Again, we're going on 50 minutes now, so we'll go on and get out of here. Let me know what your grades are for Auburn's head coaching hire of Alex Golesh. Where do you expect Auburn to finish in the National Signing Day in just a few days? Where do you expect them to land? Right now, they're currently sitting at 40. You expect Auburn to go lower, go higher, and how big of a jump you expect them to make? But mostly want to hear your grades on the coach. I know there's a lot of opinions on him. I think a lot of people are, for the most part, I've seen positive opinions of the hire, and I think it's an A hire. I think it's an A+ hire if you ask me. Which the SEC has been hitting on all cylinders, hiring him. Brian says B+. B+, I think is where I've seen a lot of people grading it at. But I think since I picked him early in the season, I'll give him an A. John Cohen's listening to the College Loop. You heard it there first. John Cohen hired Alex Golesh. I've been the Alex Golesh supporting podcast. So John Cohen listens to the College Loop. So you should too, as well. But of course, let me know what your grades are for the Alex Golesh hire going forward. We're going to go and get out of here. We'll be back on Tuesday talking about the hopefully introductory press conference. There we go. As well as getting a little preview of signing day and kind of seeing where people will kind of land at, where we're expecting to land for the class of 2026. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as well. I'm able to take on Twitter at Dylan Larck on Instagram. Follow me on there. But of course, you can subscribe right here to the YouTube channel. Help us get to our next big milestone of 2,000 subs. Hopefully getting there very, very soon. But that being said, thanks for tuning into the Summit of the College League podcast yet again. And as always, war